How's it going, guys? It's me, Vivi, and welcome back to another Ratchet & Clank video. So, I don't know if you guys remember these two scenes in particular, but in my opinion, I feel like there's a lot of psychology behind these two scenes. Now, I don't mean to sound like a boring psychology teacher, but if you really take the time and analyze these scenes, you're going to realize that there's a lot more going on in the minds of these two characters. Imagine you had to write a 1,000-word essay on these two scenes. Would you be able to do so? Now, some of you might point out the most obvious reason, but dude, Ratchet and Clank, they're best friends, of course they'd want to remain together. But what I'm trying to say is, there's just a lot more going on, but it's not being expressed through dialogue. Alright, so with that being said, let's go. Clank was meant to be the senior caretaker of the Great Clock. That was his destiny. I mean, Orvis had planted a digital version of himself in Clank's subconscious, hoping that he'd one day end up in his subconscious and train to become the senior caretaker. Now Clank, during this scene, he felt like it wasn't the right thing to do. Yes, he was meant to be the senior caretaker, but he just felt it was wrong. It wasn't the right time, despite what his father wanted. Has Orvis, by the way, been in their dimension since the last time we saw him with Nefarious when Ratchet went back in time? No. So due to these different circumstances, we can say, Orvis would have accepted Clank's decision to give this role to Sigmund instead. Okay, so before I jump into more detail, let me play these two scenes for you guys.
I can't talk you out of this, can I? Ratchet, we have been on many adventures, but the clock needs someone to protect it. It is what I was built for.
Well, looks like there's just one more thing to fix.
Timekeeper restored.
I'll leave you two alone. Take care of yourself, pal.
The clock, much like time itself, is a gift.
I cannot stay. I am sorry, but discovering my family has made me realize that I cannot leave Ratchet. Not until he finds his own.
I can't stay. Discovering my family has made me realize I can't leave Ratchet. Not until he finds his own. Clank thought of the first time they met. Let me pause the scene right here. Remember this scene from Ratchet & Clank 1, which is one of the most memorable ones, which is part of my top 5 actually? He thought Ratchet was going to leave him behind with that broken arm. This scene right here, it's like the other way around completely. Ratchet is leaving this time, and that look on his face is very similar to the look Clank had in Ratchet & Clank 1. But this time, Ratchet thinks that Clank is gonna leave him forever. Clank, he feels like he owes him a favor, to do the same thing for him, to find his kind. They've been through multiple adventures like he pointed out, and that led Clank towards his kind. Clank knows they've been through a lot. Now, Clank discovering his father was not intentional. There wasn't this concrete plan set in motion. Alright, Clank, let's try and find your father. There wasn't anything like that. That is not why Clank was with Ratchet. There was no deal made. Alright, I'm gonna find your father. Once that's done, I'm gonna help you find yours. No, they hadn't thought of anything like that, ever. Clank had no idea he had a father. Yes, he does have a mother, but I might leave that one for another video maybe. Discovering Orvis was completely unexpected. No one knew that was coming. What really brought these two together is pure friendship. He feels like they both deserve a break, some sort of happiness in return. Now, they did have breaks here and there, but Clank feels like that they both deserve a chance at happiness, like some sort of gift in return. Now, through Orvis's eyes, Clank becoming the senior caretaker would be Clank's happiness, but Clank felt like that's not what he wanted. He told himself, deep in the back of his mind, if I'm able to reach such a point, discovering who I am, I feel like Ratchet deserves the same thing. Despite Ratchet saying no in Tools of Destruction, he wanted to remain behind to save the galaxy from Tachyon. Now perhaps Clank also thought that maybe Ratchet's destiny is to meet his race? Am I going to keep him away from that? If he helped me reach this point in my life, even if I refused, I can help Ratchet still meet the Lombaxes. He's not copying Ratchet because he refused to join the Lombaxes and Tools. That's not the case. We're not really talking about fairness, it's just that Clank felt like it was the right thing to do, to help his pal find his own kind, despite the scene from Tools. Since Clank, I don't know how many times I've repeated Clank in this video, but since he got the chance to see what it's like to come across your destiny, he feels like Ratchet also deserves the chance to experience what it's like to actually see your own race right in front of you. But in Tools, it looked like Ratchet didn't want to go to the Lombax dimension. Think a bit deeper. Clank deep down knows that Ratchet is having these doubts, always thinking what it'd be like to actually meet his race. Clank knows that it's possible. Since in a way Ratchet helped Clank discover Orvis, he wants to do the same for Ratchet. And there's a scene to further prove this. Clank asks Ratchet if he'd go to the Lombax dimension if the Dimensionator would work. He replies, "I don't know." Look, he didn't say, "No, I don't want to go. This is my place, Clank. I should remain here." He didn't say that. He just said there's more here than there. Now I'm assuming Clank is thinking, Ratchet, are you so sure about that? Why did Clank take the Dimensionator with him? To maybe try and make it work? To really see if Ratchet would actually go there, with no more danger in his galaxy at the moment. During that scene in Tools, Ratchet putting his hand through that portal, he felt like, is this for real? My race lies beyond this portal. He thought it wasn't the right choice to make at that time because Tachyon was wreaking havoc. But imagine this, what would actually happen if the portal opened again and there was no danger in Ratchet's galaxy? Do you think Ratchet would still remain behind, or would he actually step through the portal this time? What if Clank one day makes this deal with Tolwyn, hey, I want Ratchet to actually meet his race, and I'm gonna go with him, and Tolwyn might agree with the idea, maybe she might feel like Ratchet deserves it. Clank will be like, hey, since I discovered something which I had no idea about, seeing my father not in person, but he still got a chance to see him, he thought, I feel like Ratchet should at least get the chance to see one of his kind, to see if that's truly the happiness he's seeking. Yes, he did meet Alistair Azimuth, but he met him in his dimension. Ratchet has no idea what the Lombax dimension is like. Now Ratchet seems very happy with his close friends, yes, but deep down I feel like Ratchet is still having these small thoughts. He's never seen his father, except for that picture. Clank wants Ratchet to come across someone who will tell him other stories about the Lombaxes, apart from what Alistair Azimuth told Ratchet. And Clank wants to know if that's the happiness Ratchet needs. He's just curious to know if Ratchet is ever wondering about the lifestyle of the Lombaxes in that dimension. Ratchet so far was like, no, I don't want to go, it's not necessary, there's not much there for me, there's more here, but is he sure about that? Clank wants to help him and give him the chance to actually find the right answer. Now, would this scenario be the same if, let's say, Clank had discovered his father in Going Commando and had discovered his destiny a year after they became friends? Alright pal, it was good knowing ya. Would you imagine Ratchet saying that to Clank in Going Commando and saying goodbye? And think of this, in Going Commando, Clank would have no idea of this other dimension, the dimension of the Lombaxes. Clank could be like, I have found my destiny, I have to follow it. It's what I was built for, like he said in Crack in Time, but this time, will he stick to it? Would it have the same impact on him, knowing that they've been friends for only a year? In this situation, they've been friends for a less amount of years. Clank has no idea about the Lombaxes, nor does Ratchet, so I feel like there will be less weight on Clank's shoulders, but a part of me is like, since they're friends, Clank might still wonder about Ratchet's own species, and Ratchet might tell him don't worry about it. Now, I'm actually curious, what if this situation had happened in Going Commando? Leave your thoughts in the comments, I'd like to know what you have to say. With that out of the way, let's imagine Ratchet going to the Lombax dimension. What would it be like? Would his race try and convince him to stay with them? Try and convince him by making him aware of the benefits? How safer it is? At a point, Clank might realize, is this really the right place for Ratchet? We don't know if all of the Lombaxes are nice. Now, what I mean by not nice, I'm not talking about a villain who wants to destroy the galaxy, no. Maybe someone who thinks differently. A mindset Ratchet would never have, and Clank will realize that. With that being said, I think this is a good way of implementing that idea they had for Nexus, a game which was planned to be a sequel to A Pure Arsenal. Instead, we got deadlocked. The general idea of that game was Clank and Ratchet would think differently. We would have two sides of one story. The Lombaxes do something they think, in a way Clank is not very fond of, and that's when Ratchet and Clank start having these arguments. But anyways, this is it for the video. So as usual, if you have any thoughts, questions, leave everything in the comment section below, and I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. So as usual, I've been Vivi, and thank you for watching.